Okay, Christina here to listen to some music, and today's music selection is Sunday, Bloody Sunday by U2. So I definitely have heard of U2 before. I know of this band. I even know the lead singer is Bono. I know they're from Ireland. I have heard them on the radio and maybe some movies and TV shows and things through the years, but it's one of those bands that I'm kind of conflicted about because I just never really got into them. I was not ever really drawn to listen to more of their music. And there were some musicians that I was drawn to do that. This is mainly in the late 80s, early 90s. That was my window of when I kind of got into some popular music. But by the mid 90s, that's when I started my classical music journey, and I sort of dropped out of the popular music scene. There were just a few artists that would sneak through here and there. It seemed like everybody around me loved them, and I'm just like, I don't know. So why? I don't know that either. It's just the way it is. And it's this way with a few other bands too. For instance, the Rolling Stones. That's another one that over these decades, everyone's like, oh, they're iconic and one of a kind. And I'm just like, I just don't see it. I don't hear it. But so far on the channel, I've done a handful of reactions to their music. And maybe I'm starting to see what their fans are talking about. So perhaps that can happen here with U2 as well. And how do we get here? This was the poll winner for U2 songs on Patreon and for channel members. So thank you to everybody who voted for this one. I do actually know for sure 2 of their songs because I played string quartet versions of them. One of them is With or Without You, and the other one is All I Want. So, I got to know the original versions of those 2 songs for me to be able to prepare to play the string quartet versions of them. And they were good songs, but I was not inspired to go out again and listen to more. So I'm very grateful to the channel here for inspiring me to finally do this. But again, we're not just here to help me. I'm hoping you all get something from this as well. I am a professional classically trained musician, instrumentalist, vocalist, composer, and professor. So we dive into all this music. We talk about the composition, the instrumentation, maybe some music theory and form analysis. Sometimes I do some instrument demos. But also, how do we relate to this music? Why do we like it? Or maybe why do we not like it? So does this reaction guarantee that I'm going to be a new fan of U2? No, not necessarily. I can learn to appreciate just about any artist out there, but what's going to happen when I actually give certain artists the chance that perhaps they deserve? Okay, well, enough talking about it. Let's dive into this, so no more delay. Let's listen. Okay, here we go. Okay, I hope that's a good stopping point. I always do my best to try to guess good stopping points here. So, I do know some of the political backstory to this. I know that they are singing about the Troubles in Northern Ireland, and that lasted over several decades. The band started in 76. This song came out in 1983, I believe. Bloody Sunday was an incident that took place in 1972. That's about all I know. I do also know some about the Troubles in general. I did a reaction to Zombie by the Cranberries as well. So I've learned more about that. And it's interesting then to me to hear musicians vocalizing their viewpoint and their experiences through their music. This is really interesting. Okay, the percussion is super prominent. I do recognize Bono's voice. It's very unique, kind of unmistakable. But this dry percussion sound in the drums, and it was almost hard to catch the meter, like the tempo at the beginning, almost. I'm not saying it was messy, but I just think that the notes that were given, the accents were sort of purposely there to sort of disorient us a little bit. But based on the incident that this song is at least titled after, I can see how that would be disorienting. And I am catching just a little bit of the words here. Normally I catch the music first and then the words come later. Sometimes it does happen the other way around. And here I did sort of catch a little bit here. Like, can't believe what we're hearing. Wish I could just close my eyes and not see it. And then I think something about how it's just carrying on. And it was like from the 60s through the 90s, like to the end of the 90s. This is, it's a long amount of troubles here. So, okay. All right. Well, let's just keep going. See where they take this storyline.
Bottles under children's feet, bodies strewn across the dead streets, but I won't heed the battle call. It puts my back up against the wall. Sunday, bloody Sunday, Sunday, bloody Sunday, Sunday, bloody Sunday, bloody Sunday. All right, stop. And the battle's just begun.
Okay, so we're headed into another verse. Well, okay, I have to admit, I believe I've heard the main Sunday, bloody Sunday. I think I've heard that melody line before. But then it changed. It actually kind of became a little bit hopeful. It switched to a fully major key, and that really took me by surprise. So for whatever reason, I've heard just that one little snippet there. It's going to happen. We're exposed to all different things through our culture and pop culture, even now, like social media. The rest just does not seem familiar at all. And I'm still sort of absorbing the percussion. I think it's there in a literal sense, militaristically, and even through weaponry, representing the incident that happened in 1972. But it's not just these sound effects coming from the drums. I'm hearing stuff from the guitars and a few other things. Was there a string instrument, like a violin involved? I'm not sure what was making some of those noises, but they were all really effective, really, really cool. And this is 1983. So I don't know how much of this would be synthesizer, like recreated on a synthesizer type thing, a keyboard. It had to have been done somehow manually and then just like added reverb and things like that to it. Harmonics, and I don't know. Very, very interesting. Okay, so we're into this next verse. Let's keep going.
There's many lost, but tell me who has won? The trenches dug within our hearts, and mothers, children, brothers, sisters torn apart. Sunday, bloody Sunday, Sunday, bloody Sunday. How long
Okay, I think there's an instrumental section coming up here. That's fun. Okay, I definitely did hear a fiddle, a violin of sorts. Very much electronic, put through an amp. That's what I was thinking I was hearing towards the beginning. Some of the noises seemed like it was bowed, but I don't know. I'm not sure like what instruments these guys typically use. Again, I know a couple of their songs because I played the string quartet version of them, but I think they were slower songs. This is more upbeat. And again, the percussion, I don't recognize that like in the other two songs, the All I Want and the With or Without You. I feel like those are more, actually it's kind of a proclamation gesture here also, but more romantically for those two songs. And what's interesting is that they did translate well for a string quartet, which is interesting, yeah, because then they actually have a violin here, but it's just loosely in the background. And I see how that can be intertwined if they're talking about history in Ireland, because the Celtic fiddle, that is a traditional instrument. So I definitely see why they wanted that there. I just wasn't aware that they had a violinist or a fiddle player in the group. So again, if any of you out there know the answers to any of these questions, feel free, please put it in the comments and let me know, because that's part of why I'm here, to learn all of this. I do have to say though, it's harsh. Like I'm trying really hard to pick up on all of these sound effects and think about why they're there, and then listen to the vocals catching the words. So again, for me, like sometimes words come through just as another instrumental sound, and I actually forget, oh wait, that particular sound with that vowel and that consonant actually is a word that has a separate meaning to it in the background. I tend to catch on to a lot just based on the music sounds of the entire song. So I do admit that some of the words have gone a little fuzzy to me. I've lost some of them, but I always go back and check the lyrics, so I will be doing that soon. I'm just saying that the message is really coming through with the music, and how at this point these young men here, the Troubles, this has been a part of like their working memory lives, like, and how long will this continue on? I did catch that like how long is this going to continue? How long? And based on the history of it was like only halfway through this whole conflict. So all of the effects, and then the way they're turning the vocals into its own effect, like really shouting this message out. They're tired of it. It's taken up so much energy in their lives. That's a lot to put into music, but that's kind of what music is here for. So, all right, let's continue and hear perhaps what is going to be this little instrumental section. I'll back it up a little bit so we can get into it a little.
Tears
Okay. I was wondering how we were going to wind that down. And, I think they were kind of remaining true to life. They didn't get fussy with it. They didn't try to do a fade out. They didn't try to resolve it anymore. Like they had that major key section again when it came back. So it came back. It happened twice. So when it returned for the second time, it was quite lengthier, which I think is supposed to be like a spark of hope, like hoping that this will come to an end soon, which we now know it did not, but it did eventually sort of wind down. So there is an ending date for the Troubles. But yeah, sort of true to life. Sometimes conflicts and things start up so quickly, and then sometimes they can just extinguish so quickly. Sometimes that means that those who experienced it don't get the closure that they need, but at the same time, they're so happy to have the conflict finished that they can appreciate that it's come to a close and end. But then there's healing, a lot of years, maybe decades of healing, generations of healing that needs to come after that. Okay, but let's check out the lyrics. I just want to double check, make sure I didn't miss anything. I know I did. So I need to fill in some of these gaps here. I can't believe the news today. Oh, I can't close my eyes and make it go away. How long must we sing this song? How long? 'Cause tonight we can be as one tonight. Broken bottles under children's feet, bodies strewn across the dead-end street. But I won't heed the battle call. It puts my back up against the wall. Sunday, bloody Sunday. Okay. So I know that this conflict in Northern Ireland, I know that the two sides that were here, like, there were organizations that were sort of interjecting into the conflict, and you had to sort of tread lightly, kind of had to be careful in what you were saying. I think it was really easy to become really angry about all of it and sort of get sucked into the thick of the conflict. And I think that actually was what was sort of fueling all of the troubles this whole time. And so I see how U2 here is trying to write the song about it, but also not get pulled in too far to where they are endangering themselves as well. I don't know. I feel like there's just this line, this fine line that they're walking here. All right, let's go. And the battle's just begun. There's many lost, but tell me who has won. The trenches dug within our hearts, and mothers, children, brothers, sisters torn apart. Yeah, they've been living this. It's been there in their lives the whole time. How long must we sing this song? Okay, so, because tonight we can be as one. So tonight. Was that the major sounding part, the hopeful sounding part? If so, then they're really speaking to everybody coming together to sort of make all of this come to a stop. Wipe the tears from your eyes. I did catch that one. Wipe your tears away. I'll wipe your tears away. I'll wipe your bloodshot eyes. Wow. Yeah, everybody's just really tired from all of this. And it's true we are immune when fact is fiction and TV reality, and today the millions cry. We eat and drink while tomorrow they die. So maybe sometimes they are trying to just close their eyes and not look at all of this. I mean, sometimes you have to just to survive this sort of decades-long thing. Okay, but the real battle just begun to claim the victory Jesus won. On Sunday, Bloody Sunday. Okay, not sure about the religious part of this. Like, wait, maybe I'm remembering. Was it outside of a church? And so then the churchgoers and so maybe some of the conflict with Northern Ireland and independence, and there is going to be a split there with the religion. So that part I do understand, but I'm just not sure about this incident that happened in 1972. Is that what they're talking about here with this claim to victory? Or is this more of an overall viewpoint? So if you know, please do let me know. I really appreciate how heartfelt these lyrics are, but also a little vague and elusive, and it leaves room for interpretation and for each of us to sort of insert our own feelings into this while respecting their feelings. It's the kind of thing that you can't imagine what this was like. You have to be there, and they're sort of telling about how their experience personally has been with this. Doesn't mean that they needed to be there. Again, I don't know their ages, or if they knew people that were directly affected. In fact, are they from Northern Ireland? I don't know. Okay, again, let me know in the comments some of these answers to my questions here. It'll all make a lot more sense. So I think the way they put some of this was very, very elegantly done, delicately done, like the broken bottles under children's feet. Just the title in itself, I think, was sort of violent enough. And then we had the sound effects. So let's get into some of these sound effects. I like to go back to the beginning sometimes, just to remind us where we started with this storyline. And it's with this initial jarring sound effect with the drums. And there's a tiny bit of reverb, but it's still very dry. Okay, and then that. Okay, so it's haunting, that bowed sound. I was like, that sounds like a bow, an elegantly drawn full bow from the frog to the tip. That's the two parts of the bow there, from where you hold it all the way to the end. And it sounded almost maybe like a siren, like a war siren or a paramedic siren driving by, police siren, I don't know. Very haunting. And then you put it with that drier drum beat that is very disorienting to begin with, kind of alarming, and you can't help but feel alarmed. Luckily, we have the guitar coming in. It's a lighter motif in there, very appreciated. I think we needed it, but let's just keep going to appreciate some more of their effects that they bring in.
Can't believe the news today. Oh, I can't close my eyes and make it go away. How long must we sing this song? How long?
Interesting. So at the end, you hear da in the vocals at the end there, but that was a human voice and not the fiddle sound. Wow. Okay. Well, I am really appreciating how the vocals are giving the message of these sentences that they're saying, like the how long. That to me sounds like that question that keeps being answered. How long is this going to go on? It's just translating very, very well to what they're singing about. Okay, but we keep working up. Again, we started with that dry discomfort, but things are trying to warm things up for us a little bit. Let's move ahead a little bit and see how much warmer it is. Okay, All right, so that was right there. I actually moved it up ahead, right to that little hopeful moment the first time it happened. So I'm going to back it up just before that to see how we get into that. Okay. That's beautiful. I love that chord progression there. Yeah. But then it goes back into the more disorienting discomfort sound. Okay. It's also really interesting how the title, it's Sunday, Bloody Sunday. There are different ways to say different words and different accents, but normally we say Sunday. But the way they sing it is Sunday, Bloody Sunday. And there's just something really profound about that. Like the title could have just been the last two words, just Bloody Sunday, but instead it's Sunday. Very interesting. All of this had to have been done for a reason. Musical comfort. They put that word in front. They didn't want to just call it the name of the incident that happened back in 1972. And so one way to sort of ease us into that title, because I can see actually how, that was a big incident in that region. And so just hearing the title it can be triggering, kind of traumatic. And so putting the word Sunday in front of that can sort of ease the listener into it. And the fact that they say the word Sunday with a slightly differently placed accent really works for that purpose. Okay, but I love that more major hopeful chord progression there. And even in the motif in the guitar, we're hearing some happier intervals, like some sixths in there, which just means from the first note to the second note, they're 6 notes apart. And then that actually leads me into what happened later on, because there was some play there with intervals that were really, really wide. And again, it's more of that discomfort. Let's move ahead and hear that. He's calling. We can be one tonight. So this. That, do you hear how far away that is? And then now how close this is. So I just want to go back and point that out again. So listen to the top note. I love the background vocals too. Bum 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 ba da da. See how low that da, 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 da. That's pretty far apart. And just that right there, that discomfort, almost disorienting to have those notes so far away. And then also like two worlds that are so divided. And which one represents which? One could be innocence, the other could be maybe more foundational. But then we went from this to this. See how the notes are so close? And the motion there is rather simple, like one note is holding still, dee, 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 and it's just sort of stepwise. But with that discomfort there. Again, there's just a lot of discomfort. I feel like that's even too nice of a word to use. It's more like devastation and disorientation, and our patience is just kind of running out. And so to me, the use of those intervals, the wide ones and the narrow ones, really demonstrate that. Okay, I want to get to some of the sound effects coming up, including the major section. So let's see how this comes out here. A lot of little in-between sounds. You hear that? And the background vocals. All the layers of the vocals. Okay. I love this. I love this part. Okay. You hear that high-pitched sound? So many different noises in there, but did you hear that really high-pitched sound? I don't know if that was another fiddle violin bow thing, or, is that supposed to be another siren, or is it more like angels? But I'm so glad that they expanded on that major section, because it happened the first time. I really wanted it to come back, and boy did it. And you have to hang on to some hope in there somewhere in a situation like this. So wow. That was great. Okay, and then I just need to emphasize one more time the usage of the violin. So an acoustic violin is not going to sound quite the same. If I were to have a pickup on this and put it through an amp, it would sound a lot more similar. But just the elegance here of using a bow for a string instrument. And again, use the whole bow, which goes from the frog, we call this part the frog, all the way to the tip. And it takes a lot to learn how to control the entire bow. But when you do it correctly, it can really sing. The sound just soars out there. And if you were to play like a harmonic, which is when a string vibrates at a higher frequency, and so it really, really sings. I believe that was some of what we were hearing from the violinist. And I just think that it was really interesting on how we heard those similar sounds representing a haunting sound, like the sounds of emergency and war, but then also a different kind of haunting sound, like being haunted with those that have been lost in the conflict, but also sort of being haunted by the hope that in the future things are going to come to an end. And I think this song absolutely demonstrates all of that to the listener. Okay? That was Sunday Bloody Sunday by U2. This was not a light, easy listening. This was very emotional, very heavy. The sound was full, the textures were full, and the meaning behind it was very full. So even back in 1983, we were already talking about decades worth of ongoings. And now that's already 4 decades later here. And here we are. And so this is some of the power of music, of art in general, that it can represent that moment in time and be there for all of us to take part in and learn from. And so I think their message came through very clearly. I would like to know, were there any repercussions that they ended up having because they did this song? Were they put in danger in any way because of it? And what was the reception of it? I mean, this obviously won the poll. So again, thank you for everybody who voted for this. But there's a reason why everyone remembers this song. And is it representative of their sound in general? I feel like there are some guitar sounds in there that I recognized from the other 2 songs that I've gotten to know, again, through the string quartet version, getting to know that for my prep for the string quartet versions. But this one, I feel like it's a little bit different, isn't it? It's just a little bit different. And it needed to be. It needed to stand out, but especially that drum sound. So did they intend for this to stand out that much? Are they okay with the fact that maybe this one is really popular, but it might not embody their actual sound in general? Perhaps that is a worthy offering musically, just to be able to get this point across. And was this song healing for them? So again, let me know, because I'd love to know. But for now, I think I will say that I hold more respect for this group. Not like I disrespected them before, but I heard something here. And I do think that this group is worth my time and effort to keep looking into. So I will be doing that. I'm going to continue on through the poll. I don't remember what song came in second or third, but we'll get there. And perhaps I can also revisit the two songs that I know and do a deeper dive on those. Maybe play some of the string parts that I might remember from the string quartet arrangements of them. But for now, I think this one's going to stick with me for a while. And will it go on my playlist? Yes, it will. Is this one that I'm going to listen to every single day? I don't know. I think I need to hear it a few more times and see if I can sort of switch from a more deeper understanding of it to a more surfacey appreciation of it, and see what I think about the groovy beat itself. Am I able to separate those two things, like the story behind it, from the general surfacey cool sound of the music itself? Do I want to separate that out? Perhaps not. So let me know how you all listened to this. How did you connect with this? What place does it hold in your musical life? So be watching for some future reactions to U2. But for now, as always, just remember that you don't have to be perfect. Just be okay. And keep listening.